It's time for your Low Country Real Estate Market Update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston, and thank you for joining me as we have another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty, and over the next hour, we're going to talk about a lot here in the Low Country. We focus on residential real estate. We do at times talk about land, commercial development, all that fun stuff, but the goal of this show is to help inform you on the housing market. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, this is a show that helps you better understand the process, understand the market. I share a lot of my experiences as somebody that's been in the business for 11 years now, done about 1,000 transactions in the Charleston market. Did about 200 last year. We've already done almost 50 so far this year, and we're just barely into February. So a lot of business to be had here, a lot of activity in this market. We're going to talk about it all. But if you'd like to reach out to me at any point in time, you're thinking about hiring a real estate agent, I'd love the opportunity to earn your business. I can be reached at 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or you can visit my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. You can look at everything that my team has for sale, everything we've sold, search every property for sale. We'll, of course, learn more about us. And if you're thinking about selling your house, 2.4% listing commission. We're still offering that this year, especially for those that have been listening to this program for the past 5 years. I've been doing this. So 2.4% listing commission. We're going to save you a bunch of money right off the bat. We're going to do everything we can to get your home sold. We invest about $25,000 a month into online marketing for our listings. So we assure you we're not cutting anything to give you that lower commission. It's truly a savings that we pass along to you. So listingsincharleston.com or 843-345-1273 is the way to get in touch with me. So here's what I want to talk about over the next hour. First, I want to focus on how awesome Charleston is for a little while. Talk about all this positive press we've had over the past few years. Help better understand, I guess, for a lot of people, why it's so darn busy and why traffic has become so darn bad here over the past few years. Everybody loves Charleston, and there's been no shortage of positive press. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some remodeling trends that I'm seeing based on a few different reports, and then, of course, with my own experience, some do's and don'ts if you're going to remodel your home, especially if you're going to sell it. I want to talk about getting ready for the spring market, where I equate the spring market for real estate as kind of like rush hour. So I want to talk about that, draw some comparisons to rush hour traffic, and help you guys better understand what you're going to be facing if you're a buyer or seller during the spring. And then lastly, I want to better explain the closing process. We focus so much on, hiring the right real estate agent or making a good offer, negotiating a deal, but I don't think we, as real estate agents, do a very good job of educating the public on the closing process. Once you have a contract signed, then what? How do you get me to the closing table? Are there differences between agent number 1, agent number 2, and agent number 3 in terms of their effectiveness in getting you to the closing table? The answer is absolutely. We're going to discuss that later this program. So let's talk first about just Charleston in general. For anybody that's lived here for an extended period of time, I'd say 10 years or more, they've likely noticed how much our holy city has changed over the years. I mean, most of us gauge the growth of Charleston by how bad the traffic has become, which is a very, popular and trackable metric, if you will, for most people. So I've been here for almost 16 years, which is almost half of my entire life, which is crazy to think about, but Charleston has received so much positive press recently. I'd say recently being over the past 5 years or so, and it's been, it's been awesome for my business. I'm loving every second of it. Keep the reports coming. But, here's what, that Forbes put out a report which used some information put together by Trulia. Trulia being, one of the big websites. They're owned and they're based out of San Francisco. They're the second most visited website online, second only to Zillow. Zillow being number 1. And, of course, Zillow owns Trulia, by the way. So Zillow and Trulia dominate the market. as it relates to online traffic for people looking at buying and selling homes online. But last year, 2016, Trulia ranked Charleston as the second hottest real estate market to watch in 2016. It said that they looked at things like affordability and strong job growth, other factors like vacancy rates, culture, landmarks, restaurants and food, people friendliness, shopping, and overall value. So that's awesome. According to them, the number one market to watch in 2016, according to Trulia, was Grand Rapids, Wyoming. Now, Trulia's chief economist, Ralph McLaughlin, said in his review that the Charleston, South Carolina real estate market is hot. No doubt, in part, is due to its ranking as the sixth highest for job growth in the U.S. And obviously, there are a lot of reasons why so many people love the Low Country. Think about it. The history, beaches, water, friendly people, fun-loving culture. I mean, that's just a few of a long, long list. But we're also a serious foodie town, and I am one of them. I love food. Sometimes a little too much. It's very hard to go on a diet in this town because it seems like everything you do revolves around eating and drinking, and probably drinking more so than eating. And I know I'm guilty of that too. I don't know how you be in this business as a real estate agent and don't have a drink every once in a while. That's what keeps me sane. That and with two kids under 2.5 years old. Thank God for coffee in the mornings and vodka tonics in the afternoons. That's all I'm going to say about that. But Charleston, last year we had 11 different restaurants receive James Beard Award nominations. I mean, that is awesome. So, I mean, it's pretty safe to say that the word is out when it comes to Charleston, right? So we've been voted the number one city in the world, as well as the number one city in the U.S. and Canada in Travel and Leisure magazine in 2016. And according to Travel and Leisure, Charleston has been voted, they were the number 2 city in the world in 2015, but they've been the number 1 city in the U.S. and Canada for the past 4 years, which is, again, awesome. Look at Condé Nast Traveler magazine. We get incredible reviews from them all the time. We've been the number 1 small city in the U.S., according to Condé Nast Traveler magazine, from 2011 until 2015. Every year. We didn't get it last year. I'm not sure which city got it, but all this positive press is bringing people in. And think about not just the fact that we've got all these businesses that are now relocating. We've got the 6th highest growth rate for job growth in the United States as of 2016. So think about all the people that are relocating here for workforce-based housing. Then think about all the people that are looking at Charleston as a second home or third home or fourth home. There are a lot of people here with a lot of money, which, I mean, we market our homes internationally because we have people from all over the world looking at Charleston now. I think last year we sold a property to somebody from South Africa, Poland, China, Japan, Philippines. There's one or two others that I'm forgetting. Hawaii doesn't really count, but Hawaii as well. But so all these people are moving here. You look at the numbers that are being reported right now. There was one that came out from Post and Courier a while ago, and it said that people are a little confused as to how many people are actually moving into the Charleston area or the Charleston metro area. Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester County. The answer is 35 new people a day are moving here. However, we also have 13 new births per day. So the change in our total population is actually 48 new residents every single day. And so you wonder why traffic has gotten bad. As of 2015, the Charleston, South Carolina metro area had a population of almost $750,000, and we were growing at 3 times the average United States population. And then you look at all the people that are moving here now. We are adding labor force at 5 times the U.S. average. So we've got all these positive things working for us. And if you look at all this from a real estate perspective, which is, of course, what this show is about, then there's no wonder our market has been red hot for years. And in my opinion, will be this year. And I think for several years to come, barring some sort of major change, interest rates being one of them. And we're going to talk about that later. But if I were looking at investing in real estate in Charleston, or if I were thinking about buying or selling, here are the things that I would take away from that. Number one if I had some additional income or some money stashed away, I would be looking to invest in some rental properties. I'm doing it myself. I help a lot of people do it. There's some serious money to be made out there the next several years. I mean, clearly, we have a high demand for workforce housing. And you put that into addition to the people that are, looking for vacation homes. It's something that my team and I have a lot of experience in. If that's something you want to talk about, give us a call, 843-345-1273. Now, buyers, if you see something you like, I really just suggest that you try as best as you can not to nickel and dime the seller, because what's going to happen is, assuming that they're priced well, they're in good condition, they're being marketed well, somebody else is going to come along pretty soon. So if you get really close, I usually say if you're within 1% of making a deal, you're at X and they're at Y, and the difference is 1%, that you really should try and do everything you can to make that deal work. You're not always going to get everything you get every single time. Obviously, it's our job as real estate agents to get you the very best deal possible, get you the best terms as possible. But we also have to be realistic about market conditions. So buyers, unfortunately, you're not always in the driver's seat. In some instances, you are. I'm going to help you focus on a few things a little later on in this program that I think can provide you with some good value or opportunity for value. But sellers, I would say this, take this with a grain of salt. Yes, there's a lot of excitement surrounding our market right now, but just try your best not to be too greedy. And I know that's a bit of a bold statement, but if someone's making you an acceptable offer and it allows you to accomplish your goal of moving, whether it be into a bigger home or downsizing into a smaller one or selling so you can move somewhere else, you've got a job you want to go to, whatever the case might be, take the deal. Don't squabble over the small stuff, but also understand that buyers, if they're looking at your home and you're in an attractive area, priced well, marketed well, in good condition, you don't necessarily need to be strong-armed by a buyer. So it goes both ways. So if I can help you with any of this stuff, thinking about buying, selling, investing in real estate, happy to help you, happy to earn your business. And of course, it doesn't cost anything for a conversation. And it doesn't have to be about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. You could just have a general question for me about real estate. Give me a call. Happy to chat with you. My number is 843-345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Remember, 2.4% listing commission to help you sell your home this year. 2.4%. No one else is doing it that low. Listingsincharleston.com. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about getting you ready for the spring market if you're going to buy or sell a home. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Have a real estate question? Ask Brian Beatty. Send him an email, lowcountryhomesales@gmail.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show is on 1250 WTMA. WTMA. Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Every Saturday at 9, every Sunday at 10. If you missed today's episode, we'll put it on our website as well. Listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to. Any show I've ever recorded is on that website, listingsincharleston.com. You can also learn more about myself, my team, our success, our interest in working with you, and of course, 2.4% listing commission to help you sell your home this year. So no one else is doing it for that low and providing the same level of service and marketing and has the same amount of sales as we're doing. And I know that's a bold statement, but we're helping a lot of people save a lot of money, and we've already done almost 50 transactions this year. So coming out of the gate hot, a lot of activity in this market. What I want to talk about now is getting ready for the spring market. Again, if you want to reach out to me, you want to talk privately about your interest in buying or selling a home, you want to discuss hiring me as your real estate agent, give me a call, 843-345-1273, 843-345-1273, or again, listingsincharleston.com. So there are three major takeaways that I want you guys to have with regard to this particular segment, buying or selling a home in the spring and getting ready for what I consider to be the rush hour of our market seasonally. So the three takeaways are, number one, there are benefits to avoiding the peak real estate season for home sellers, like less competition. And the buyers in this market right now are often more motivated. The benefits, of course, for buyers in the off season, before spring, can go the same way because sellers are also motivated. And we're going to explain that a little bit more. The third thing that I'll say is that those ancillary services like home appraisers or lenders or contractors are also more available during the off season. Transactions are easier. You get work done on your home quicker, and in some cases for less money because they're not as busy yet. If you give them a job now, they can get it done and then get back to their spring and summer and fall, which is usually the busiest for them. So traditionally, the spring real estate market, March to May, is historically the months in which the most properties under contract occur. So we have the most new listings hit the market, or the biggest difference between existing and new listings. And we also put the most amount of properties under contract. We usually sell the most amount of homes, close in May and June. May, June, July, right around there. Obviously, we have to put them under contract first. They take 30 to 60 days to close. It takes a little bit of time for those properties to sit on the market before they go under contract. So you backtrack maybe 3 months or so from June, and that puts you in March, right around the corner. So I'm equating this spring market to rush hour. Rush hour traffic in most metropolitan areas being between 7 to 9 a.m. and 5 to 7 p.m. And commuters that are trying to beat the traffic, get on the road as early as 5 p.m. or 5 a.m., and they've got smooth sailing to work. It's in many ways similar to home sellers and buyers that choose to follow that example. Obviously, with, rush hour, there are more cars on the highway than the system was designed to handle. So it just isn't economic to construct enough roads for peak travel times. So there are incentives for traveling during peak hours, HOV lanes and reduced fees on toll roads and things like that. I'm from Northern Virginia, so all this makes perfect sense to me. But if you equate this to the real estate market, you apply this same idea to the real estate market. How do we avoid rush hour or the peak season and still get what we want, which is to buy a home for a good deal, to sell a home for a good deal, to make sure that the timing works out with everything? Hey, look, maybe you're not ready to buy or sell a home right now. That's obviously, isn't going to apply to you. But if you're interested in selling a home, you don't necessarily have a specific time frame in mind. This could work incredibly well for you. It works very well for our clients because we're teaching them to look at all of the factors, not just follow the crowd. So many agents out there are saying, hey, list in spring, list in spring, list in spring. That's when the most sales are. Well, yeah, that's right. But that's also when the most new listings hit the market. So as a home seller, the buyers in this market are often more motivated, which can translate to buyers being less particular and more committed to the idea of purchasing a home rather than waiting for that perfect home to list. In spring, when all those homes are coming on the market, sellers sometimes get lost in that traffic jam. As new inventory continually hits the market, buyers at sometimes become distracted and sometimes anxious while they're waiting for something better to come along. And they don't feel enough urgency to commit. And we deal with that a lot with a lot of the buyers that we work with in the spring market. The exact home doesn't come on the market that they're looking for. They could make it work. They can get a good deal to make it work, but it's not 100% perfect. So they wait, and they wait, and they wait. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, they still haven't found anything. All the good stuff is gone. Now they're waiting on new listings to hit the market in the summer and early fall. And don't get me wrong, they do. Good listings hit the market just about every day, theoretically. But they miss the bulk of those properties. So sellers choosing to go on the market right now might be extremely advantageous for you so that, number one, you don't get lost in the shuffle, but number two, you take advantage of the larger market share that you would have among buyers that are ready, willing, and able to buy right now. Your home will stand out more because there will be less homes available. So it makes perfect sense, in my opinion, that if you don't have a very specific time frame in mind to put your home on the market now, or at least if you're going to wait until, let's say, March or middle of March, let us do some pre-marketing for you. pre-marketing in this market is doing fantastically well for our sellers. So what is that? What is pre-marketing? Well, we put the sign in the yard. We start generating some calls there. We put the property as a coming soon listing on Zillow. We get some calls there. We put it on Craigslist. We do a big social media campaign. We contact our database of 50,000 people. We contact other agents that are showing properties in your area, in your neighborhood, in your price range. We have access to all that stuff. We have trackable reports provided to us through the MLS that show us how many people are looking in specific price ranges. We can also do something called reverse prospecting, which is a very cool tool, but it's something that most agents don't use because of the time frame or just the investment of time that it takes to do this. And so let me explain reverse prospecting because it's really neat. It just, again, it takes a long time. So let's say that you're a buyer and you're looking at properties to purchase and you say, Brian, I want to buy something in Mount Pleasant between $400,000 and $500,000 with at least 2,000 square feet and at least 4 bedrooms. Well, I, as a buyer agent, would go to the MLS and I would set those search parameters. I'd create a search for those buyers. And each time a new listing hit the market, they would receive an email directly from the MLS saying, here are today's new listings that fit your search criteria. So let's take that same concept of searching for homes and populating a list of homes to send my buyer clients. I, as a listing agent, rather than going into the MLS and searching homes for sale, can actually do a search for the real estate agents that have created searches for their clients where your home fits their buyer's search criteria. So again, instead of a list of homes for my buyers, I get to get a list of agents for my sellers that are working with buyers for their home. The issue is it generates somewhere between 100 and sometimes as many as 500 or so real estate agents. What the system won't tell me is, when will those buyers buy? Are they buying now? Are they buying a year from now? Have they already bought and the agent just forgot to turn their search off? Are they retiring here in 10 years? There's a variety of cases there. But one thing that we can do is start scrubbing that list by saying, hey, we've got a listing coming up soon. It looks like one of the buyers that you're sending properties to may be interested in it. What information can I share with you about the property? Are you interested in scheduling a preview to come take a look at it? Those are the kinds of things that you can be doing or that the agent can be doing for you right now while we're waiting for your home to get ready to go on the market. Fairly soon, we're going to start to see a little bit of a change in the landscaping. It's going to become a little bit warmer outside, hopefully. So the grass will start to get a little greener. Flowers will start to come out a little bit. Leaves won't be all over the place. So it's just an attractive time in Charleston. It's just a beautiful place as spring rolls around. But I highly encourage you, if you're a seller, to take advantage of the fact that there is very little competition among new listings right now, as well as the fact that the people that are looking are serious. And if they don't have the ability to wait until the spring or summer, then guess what? You've just answered their prayers because exactly what they want went on the market now rather than waiting until April or May to list. Now, buyers, here's a little tip for you. Focus on the properties that have been listed for a while. If they've been on the market for, let's say, more than 90 days, at this point right now, if they were on the market last fall and last winter and it didn't sell, and the property remained on the market into 2017 and it still hasn't sold, chances are that seller is willing to look at a reasonable offer and negotiate. Most of the people that aren't really that motivated to sell take their home off the market for a few months and be like, all right, didn't work out. We'll try again in the spring. Again, if they had only either kept the property on the market or relisted somewhere around now as opposed to waiting until April, they probably would have a buyer. There's a little bit of patience there. Obviously, every seller and every property is a little different in terms of their time frame and their goals and their property and their area and the uniqueness of all of that. But if you're a buyer, I do think you have an opportunity right now to get a good deal on something if you focus on the sellers that have been on the market for a while. There's no doubt they're frustrated. They don't understand in most instances why their home has not sold. When you talk to all these sellers that had their home on the market for 6 to 12 months and We asked them why it didn't sell, and they're like, I don't really know. Well, why'd your agent think it didn't sell? We don't really know that either. All they know is they had some showings, but the deal didn't get done. And, about 60% of what we sell, by the way, was previously on the market with another real estate agent before we kind of take over and get the deal done for them. But again, sellers, if you're thinking about putting your home on the market right now, let's look at your very specific market. Let's look at your neighborhood. Let's look at your price range. Let's look at what's available, and let's determine whether or not it makes sense to list now, or if it does, in fact, make sense to wait. I'm not totally discounting the idea of listing in the spring, but I do think that listing now, so long as it fits your time frame, and if we sell it in a week, you can live with that, it presents some interesting opportunities. So if I can help you with that, let me know. 843-345-1273 is my cell. I'll say that again, 843-345-1273. Again, my website, listingsincharleston.com. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk about remodeling and some projects that you can do or should not do based on some trends for 2017. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Find Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. WTMA. Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Thanks for sticking with me and for spending some time with me this morning as we discuss the housing market here in Charleston. I always like to take a little bit of time and say thank you to those of you that listen to this program and rely on the information within it to help you plan your move, whether you're buying, selling, or investing, or if you just like to stay informed with the real estate market. Every once in a while, I think I say something somewhat clever and give away a little nugget of gold here and there. So there's some benefit to listening, I think. But in all reality, I love doing this show. It's a great opportunity for me to share some experiences with you. And I've always been of the mindset of let people know what's really going on in this market. Never let this show be a salesy show. I truly want to just provide you with information. I want to help you understand the market so that you can set realistic expectations for yourself. And I also want to educate you so that when it comes time for you to do your transaction, you know what to ask, you know what to expect, you're more informed than the other party who hopefully has not been listening to this show, and you get a good deal, or you get a good price, you get good terms, whatever the case might be. You're happy at the end of the day, and that's all I want. So thank you for listening. If I can help you with your real estate needs, feel free to call me, 843-345-1273, 345-1273. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. More information on myself, my team, our success, what we do to market properties. And remember, 2.4% listing commission to help you sell your home this year. I've also got that preferred lender that I've mentioned for probably a year now. If you buy a home, he'll pay up to 1% of your closing costs or $5,000, whichever is less. But if you're a seller, and this is really awesome because this is working really well on our listings right now. A buyer will come along, they'll ask the seller to pay closing costs. Well, guess what? If the buyer uses our preferred lender, that lender will pay up to $5,000 of that buyer's closing costs. So it's great for us because it gets to, it allows the seller to save some money, but it also gives us the opportunity to work with a lender that I trust. That when they say they're pre-approved, I know they're pre-approved. It's more rock solid to me than, a pre-qualification letter from Quicken Loans or, the Bank of Indiana, whatever, just some random lender out there. So some good information there as far as helping you buy or sell real estate. Again, listingsincharleston.com is the website. So I want to talk about remodeling for just a little bit. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on it, but there's starting to be a little bit of a shift in some of the more popular remodeling items that people are putting in their home. And so I just wanted to mention some of these because we get a lot of calls from people that say, hey, just finished remodeling my house and now we're ready to list, and, thumbs up. Great. Let's meet. Let's chat about it. Let's talk about pricing, marketing, all that fun stuff. And I'd say about 40 to 50% of those instances, I really wish they had called me before they started doing those remodeling projects. Everybody always thinks that for every dollar they invest, they're going to get $1 back or more, and that is sadly not the case in several different areas, especially if you're going to spend a lot of money and you think you know what you're doing. Look, you probably do. I'm not here to be super controlling over everything, but I do want to weigh in. I do want you to understand what buyers want and what they don't want. And I also want you to understand what makes sense to spend money investing in versus whether you should just save your money and either deduct that off the price or give them some sort of incentive and don't deal with it at all. And again, it goes back to differentiating between repairs and improvements. So I want to focus on just a few improvements for a moment, if I may. And the first one is stainless steel appliances. And, quite frankly, the trend has not gone anywhere. If anything, it's become a little bit stronger, I think, especially when you're looking at more of the high-end appliances. Now, you've got some really cool stuff that's come out. You've got like this kind of matte black finish on some of these appliances, which I think looks super cool. KitchenAid has some. You're also seeing them in bronze in some instances. You've got slate, which is another option. So some really cool stuff, something that would really create a wow statement in your kitchen. But here's the deal. If you've got nice appliances now, don't buy stainless steel appliances. You're not going to get your money out of it. You're just not. If you've got old appliances, they need to be replaced, then let's talk. Let's talk about doing that. But I don't think replacing perfectly good, reasonably nice appliances with stainless steel appliances is going to cost you a few $1,000s. But that is a trend that I think is going to stick around for a while. Now, there's something else going on, and that's you can buy this paint. You can either buy kind of like a metallic paint that looks like stainless steel, or you could just go for it and truly paint something like your fridge. We've all these people that are painting their front doors funky colors, and people love it. But think about like Park Circle as an example in North Charleston and how eclectic that area is. That area really does focus on some of that eclectic, not necessarily modern. Eclectic really is the right word to use, but just funk. They like things to be a little different over there. So the renovations that they're doing are out of the ordinary. There's a ton of character in those homes. So one thing you might consider doing is painting your fridge. Do it the right way. We're not talking about like rolling on some paint onto your fridge. Look up some YouTube videos or something to figure out how to do it right. But I've seen some kitchens where they painted the cabinetry like a really light gray, and then they had a pop of the fridge. It works really well in some instances. Just, if you're living in a traditional family-based neighborhood and, people aren't really going to want a pink fridge. Just make sure that what you're doing kind of matches your overall surroundings. Second thing I'll say is that people are really starting to kind of hem and haw about smart homes, Nest thermostats and lights that are controlled by remote. And, you've got I've got AT&T UVerse at my house, and they provide us with a whole bunch of stuff that all syncs, and our alarm system can be done from our phones. Our garage system can be done from our phones. So can our locks and all that fun stuff. So it's a nice feature to have. But if you're planning on spending a bunch of money to create those features, I would pump your brakes. We really need to make sure that you're in a price range and in an area that's going to support that, because it's not terribly expensive, but it's also not really that high, in my opinion, on the list of things that you should be doing. But something that can be expensive that I see as being a trend that people are moving away from is people are starting to become more interested in quartz than they are in granite. If you're thinking about remodeling a kitchen, please, for the love of God, do not put Ubatuba granite down. You might as well just take it right back up. That is so dated at this point. And I'm sorry if you're listening and you have Ubatuba granite. It's just not the kind of look people are going for. People like quartz. It's one of those trendy things that's going to stick around for a while. It's certainly better than marble, in my opinion. Marble is totally unrealistic for a kitchen, by the way. You can't put hot stuff on it. It stains. It's just a big pain in the you-know-what, but it looks beautiful. Quartz, I think, is reasonably well priced. It's a great choice. It's easy to clean. Again, it looks awesome. So I would highly consider doing quartz rather than granite if you are considering doing a kitchen remodel. Let's talk about flooring for a second. Several years ago, bamboo was really big. And you could buy bamboo fairly inexpensively. And it's a very versatile material. It's really nice, but I will tell you that aesthetically, it's kind of a thing of the past. People are not really interested in bamboo anymore. So don't necessarily be sucked in by those sales that you're going to see for bamboo at extremely low prices. It's obviously really low price because not a lot of people want it anymore. So if you're going to put in some hardwoods, I think engineered hardwoods are a fantastic option. Get the pre-finished kind that has the real wood on top and the composite material underneath. You can still sand it once or twice and change the stain. It's an economical option as well. But people are definitely leaning more toward that more traditional kind of flooring than they are with something like bamboo. Freestanding tubs, it's still a big trend if you're going to renovate your bathroom. Just make sure you have the space for it. You also have to make sure that it's in a price range where it's going to support that, because freestanding tubs are not inexpensive. You can spend a few $1,000s on a freestanding tub. So just make sure that you can put it in a good location and it's not going to cramp the room or look weird in the room. And then, of course, you're in a price range that's going to support it. Another thing that I will say is that people really are starting to lean more toward that kind of minimalist living, less is more type thing, especially when you're going to stage your home. So removing a lot of furniture, kind of calming down some of those really ornate features and, the really traditional aesthetic. People are, I think, in most instances, and again, this is going to depend on the price range. Luxury, by the way, should be out of this conversation because luxury is so totally unique that, there are just too many different varieties and too many different styles and too many different levels of taste for me to say wholly that, the minimalist lifestyle works well for all those folks. But in general, the average price range out there, depending upon where you live, I would say that this minimalist lifestyle, this reduction in kind of noise in the house, the reduction of clutter, fresh paint, things like some really cool wallpaper, not the traditional, vertical striped wallpaper, but something with a cool pattern on it that's a little subtle, is really working well. And we've had the pleasure of designing a few homes on behalf of our clients that wanted us to help them through the remodel, and we did, and it turned out awesome, and it sold for more money than actually we thought we were going to get. And so that's the kind of stuff that's fun for us. If you're thinking about doing something to your house, whether it's small or large, please consult me or consult somebody about what to do and what not to do, more importantly. Nothing worse than spending your money and it just not coming back to you. You might sell your home a little faster, but if you don't get the return on investment, what was the point, right? So if that's something I can help you with, give me a call, 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273, or go to listingsincharleston.com. And listingsincharleston.com, you can learn more about us and our team, and click on that contact tab if you want to chat with me on that website or send me a private message. We'll get right back to you. Stick around. We've got one more segment right here on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. WTMA. Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Thanks for sticking around, Charleston. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Only a few minutes left this hour to talk about real estate here in the Low Country. Thanks for sticking with me as we have this discussion about housing. We have this show every Saturday at 9 and Sunday at 10, and if you miss a portion of it, you can always go to my website, say Monday or Tuesday of the following week, and I'll have it up there for the weekend before. Listingsincharleston.com is the website. I've got every other show I've ever done on that program, on this program, on that website. So listingsincharleston.com, there is a plethora of information on there, and I've summarized each show so you know what you're getting into before you start clicking away and start listening to shows that are, collectively about 45 minutes apiece. So thanks again for tuning in, and thanks for allowing me the opportunity to share some of these experiences with you. One thing that I really want to focus on, though, and it's something that I don't think agents do a fantastic job of in general. Not that they're not skilled, they just don't do a good job of talking about it. They don't bring a lot of awareness to the closing process. We always talk about how to hire an agent and, what to look for in the relationship that you form with that agent? How do we hold that agent accountable once we're engaged? Once we hire an agent, how do we know they're going to do what they say they're going to do? How do we get out of that relationship if they don't uphold their end of the bargain? We also talk a lot about negotiating, but we just don't talk that much, in my opinion, about the closing process, all the steps involved with getting you to the closing table, getting those documents signed, and helping you move on to the next stage of your life. So I wanted to just kind of tease this segment a little bit because I'm going to get into it in a big way next weekend. It's going to be the main focus of my show, and we're going to talk about everything from A to Z, buyers, sellers, investors, what they experience, what they need to know. And I'm going to share a lot of stories along the way because most of our heartburn as real estate agents comes during the closing process. Something goes wrong and we need to figure it out. We need to find a solution. And this is one of the only industries at least that I know of, where finding that solution oftentimes costs us money, which is unfortunate. We end up having to kick in some money to make the deal work. It's just part of the industry. It is what it is. It's not me complaining. But there are agents out there that can do a really good job for their clients and save them money, and in some cases earn them money by managing the closing process very, very effectively. And so what do I mean by that? Well, look at the contingencies to the contract. You make somebody an offer. Let's say you're a buyer. You make somebody an offer. They're selling their home. They accept it. So great. We've got an acceptance. We have a ratified contract. Now we're working toward closing. And we have all of these contingencies that we need to satisfy, all of these milestones that need to be completed in order for us to take the next step in the process. So what are those? Those are the home inspection. There's also something called a CL100, which is a termite and moisture inspection. Then we have financing. Then we have the appraisal. We have things like the final walkthrough. And then one of the great things about real estate, and also one of the most challenging things about real estate, is that we can literally write into a contract just about whatever we want, so long as the lender would approve it, by the way. We're not talking about anything crazy here. The seller is going to give you a $50,000 check when you buy the house. Can't do that. But you can craft a very creative arrangement between a buyer and a seller, so long as you clearly define how you're going to accomplish those milestones. The more complicated the contract, usually the more challenging it is to get it to closing. We've got things like home sale contingency addendums, wherein if you're going to buy that home, you need to sell your home first. There's a lot of different contingencies that can go into that specific line item. So there's all these moving parts. A lot of people out there are thinking about putting their home on the market very soon because they want to buy something. Or at least I would hope that they're thinking about putting their home on the market, or at least beginning the process of researching how much their home is worth. What do they need to do to their home, if anything, to prepare it for sale? And then what's out there to buy right now, so that if I do find something, I can put my home on the market quickly. And this is what I'm trying to get through to you guys, is you've already met with the real estate agent. You've already heard their marketing plan. You already know what they're going to do to sell your home once you find something to buy. You know what it's going to sell for. You know how much time it's going to take to sell. And you can use all of that information to your advantage in constructing an offer on a house you want to buy that gives you a reasonable amount of time to sell your home. That makes sure that if you sell your home, you're not selling it below what it's worth just for a quick sale to buy something else, but that you're also not pricing it so high that your home doesn't sell and you miss out on the home you want to buy. So there's all these different things that go into it. And what happens if we miss these deadlines? What contractually can happen? What are the repercussions? Obviously, we've got some earnest money we've put up, the good faith money that a buyer puts up that says, hey, I'm going to perform under this contract. And if I don't, here is my consideration, aka earnest money. Here's my earnest money that you can take if I back out of this deal, if I default on this contract. You've got the things that you need to do, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I've got the things that I need to do. So it's a big process, moving all these puzzle pieces around and putting everything together to make sure that everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to. And we've done it about 1,000 times. We did it almost 200 times last year. We've already done it almost 50 times this year. So it's something we obviously have a lot of experience in. I'd say it's one of our differentiating factors is just our experience in helping you get your goals accomplished. So that's what I'm going to talk about next weekend. We're going to basically go through everything. And for some of you, it might be a little bit boring, but I promise you it'll be very educational. So if I can help you with your real estate needs this year, I do hope you give me a call. 843-345-1273 is my cell, 345-1273. Or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. Remember, 2.4% commission to sell your home this year. Thanks a lot, Charleston. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show.